Greetings all, I'm Aaron Mills, and welcome back to the Riverdale Vlogs, Episode 10, The Lost Weekend. It's Jughead's birthday, and everybody's happy about that, except Jughead. Apparently Jughead does not like his birthday, does not want to celebrate his birthday, but things rapidly get out of hand. So, where to start here? Let's start at the obvious. Much to everyone's surprise, Chuck Clayton has returned to Riverdale High, apparently having been suspended rather than expelled. This does not please Betty in the slightest, and we actually see something which we haven't seen since the first episode. When Chuck comes back, when they spot, when Archie, Kevin, Veronica, and Betty are all having lunch, and they spot Chuck, and Chuck goes over and starts talking to Ethel, and Betty, jumps up and goes and sees what's going on. Ethel tells her that, he tells Ethel that he's apologizing, and he tells Betty that he's apologizing to Ethel. Ethel confirms it, and Betty clenches her fist once again so hard that her nails dig into her palm, drawing blood. So Chuck's back, and that's kind of messing with Betty's head a little bit. Meanwhile, I'm going to kind of jump around with this one. This one's a little, much like a couple of episodes back, all the plot lines are sort of intertwined in this one, a little more tightly than they usually are. So we're going to jump around a little bit. Anyway, as mentioned, Jughead doesn't like his birthday, and as he explains, it just seems weird to him that, because his family has always had problems, usually because of his dad, that, it seemed weird to him that for one day they try to pretend everything was normal. And so, he's never really liked birthdays, never really wanted to have a party or anything. Well, Betty gets the idea to go ahead and throw a party for him anyway. Much despite the fact that Jughead would rather just go with his usual tradition of going to the local movie theater for a double feature and pretty much calling it good there. Instead, they decide to plan a surprise party for Jughead. Small group, inner circle, ends up being, the original plan is basically Archie, Betty, Veronica, Kevin's boyfriend Joaquin, which we will get back to in just a minute, and Ethel comes along as well. Archie is not having a good time right now, in addition to breaking up with Val, which is messing with his head, and everything he's seen with the Blossoms, which is also messing with his head. His dad leaves for the weekend to meet up with his mom to finalize the divorce, because apparently, as we find out, Archie's mom has been gone for about 2 years now. Apparently the dispute was she wanted to leave Riverdale, he didn't, and Archie decided to stay with his dad. So I guess the divorce is going to be finalized. So, Archie's kind of trying to make everything work out, and everything's just not going well. And while he initially tries to get Betty to not throw Jughead a birthday party because he knows how much Jughead hates his birthday, eventually he just says, screw it, let's do it at my place. And that's at the lunchroom where he happens to see Val standing over and glaring at him and all that. So, yeah, so they decide to throw the party. Betty goes to the movies with Jughead initially, then claims she's too scared because they're doing An American Werewolf in London. And they gets him back to the party and everything's fine and dandy. Now, backtracking a little bit, moving on to Veronica really quick. Veronica is, of course, still conflicted. Her mother still expects her to testify on her father's behalf. She gets his lawyer there, and his lawyer basically says, no, you're only testifying to his character. You won't be asked any questions about his business. And Veronica's not even inclined to do that at all. It becomes even worse when Archie and Betty tell her what Archie overheard at the Blossom house, that Clifford Blossom arranged for Hiram Lodge to go to jail. Well, Veronica does some digging and discovers something interesting. Apparently, for the last 75 years, the Blossom family has been paying money to the Lodge family for some reason. No idea what that reason is, but it's been going on for a while. Until about 5 months previous, when it suddenly stopped, which was about the time that Hiram Lodge went to jail. This naturally is starting to cast more light on Hiram being the mastermind behind Jason's murder. Veronica points this out to her mom. Her mom tells her not to involve the Blossoms, especially Cheryl. And Veronica doesn't, but it still doesn't mean she's not going to make Cheryl pay for whatever reason. So Veronica outright challenges Cheryl for leadership of the Vixens and convinces Cheryl to leave it up to a vote for the Vixens to decide who's going to be the head cheerleader. Well, there's a little dance-off, cheer-off thing, and yeah, just about the entire squad votes for Veronica. And as for Cheryl's two little toadies, Tina and Ginger, I know Ginger's one of them, I think Tina's the other one, but I don't quite remember. Anyway, so they don't even vote either way, and Cheryl reams them out for that. So not only are you too stupid to exercise your rights, you didn't even vote. It's just like, so she basically, she fires them. She kicks them off the squad, and she just, you know, tells them that they're going to be outcasts and pariahs, pretty much. This challenge to her authority doesn't make Cheryl very happy because she's a Blossom. And so she allies with Chuck to cause a little chaos and anarchy, which means that they crash Jughead's party and bring almost the entire school with them. Yeah. Now, prior to this, prior to the party, Archie talks with his dad, and pretty much his dad says, you know, that he and his wife, Mary, decided not to meet for dinner or anything. They were just going to meet with the lawyers, and Archie gets mad and gets upset, and basically, you know, it's like his parents can't even talk to each other without a mediator, and so Archie starts drinking. So when Jughead and Betty show up for what they think is going to be a small inner circle party, yeah, Archie's drunk. And then Cheryl and Chuck crash, and they brought a couple of kegs, and Archie's like, screw it, put one in the kitchen, one in the backyard. And so it's like half the damn school has shown up, party gets out of hand, everybody's there, Jughead's really unhappy, and runs and heads out to the garage. Archie finds him and is like, Val just showed up, can I? And it's like, and just Jughead tries to dissuade him, and then FP shows up, because Betty's been working on him to get him to the party as well. And, you know, Jughead's like, fair warning, you're the only adult here, and yeah, and so a lot of stuff happening. Just backtracking again, I'm sorry, I know I'm doing that a lot, but like I said, things are a little more tightly knit in this episode than some of the others. So, Veronica, you know, goes after discovering that Hiram Lodge would have a motive to murder Jason Blossom. She goes and talks to the lawyer, and the lawyer says, I mean, and she says she feels even less inclined. And apparently, the lawyer talked to Hiram and said she was feeling conflicted. So Hiram gives her a letter, has the lawyer give Veronica a letter, and basically, Hiram threatens to drag her mother down with it, drag Hermione down with him if Veronica doesn't testify on his behalf. So yeah, that's kind of sucks. And so, you know, Veronica's not sure what to believe, so she goes to the party and she gets into the liquor cabinet. Anyway, the party goes on for a while, and FP shows up, like I said, and starts wandering through, catches Joaquin and Kevin making out, and manages to get Joaquin alone to talk to him about anything he's heard. And he's over, and Joaquin mentions, because Veronica mentioned it, that, you know, the Blossoms sent Hiram Lodge to jail, and that gave Hiram Lodge a motive for murder, which FP is like, that's not good, I've had business with Hiram. So he's aware that he could be a suspect in doing the actual killing on Hiram Lodge's behalf. On the way, he happens to pass Veronica, and Veronica, of course, saw him meeting up with Hermione at the drive-in for the initial payoff way back in episode 2? I think so? Or was it episode 4? Episode 4. I believe it was episode 4. The Last Picture Show, whichever one that one was. Sorry. So she sees and she asks Kevin what's going on, and that's when Veronica realizes that, yeah, the leader of the Southside Serpents is Jughead's dad. So everything gets a little crazy, and, you know, Betty tries to talk to Jughead at the party, and Jughead just kind of lays into her, just basically saying, this is not what I wanted, you didn't even listen to what I wanted, I'm not one of your projects. I'm a weirdo, and I like it that way, and it's just like, you listen to him, and you're like, oh, Jughead, get over yourself. Jesus Christ. I mean, really? God. And I speak as someone who has, in fact, self-sabotaged a couple of relationships, so I know where it is. I know what I'm seeing there, and that's exactly what Jughead's trying to do. Things escalate when Jughead tries to leave after reaming out Betty, and Cheryl and Chuck keep him from leaving, it's just so everybody can share every dirty little secret that they know. It's kind of like a quick recap. So yeah, everything comes out. Chuck talks about Betty going ballistic, Cheryl drops the idea that, Hiram Lodge could be behind Jason's murder. Veronica counteracts by throwing out the idea that Cheryl may have loved her brother in a way she wasn't supposed to. Word gets out about Miss Grundy and Archie. Dilton is at the party. He talks about how he puts 2 and 2 together about how, he saw Miss Grundy's car at the river. Archie claimed to be at the river, and then he told Betty what happened about Betty and Jughead about seeing Miss Grundy's car, and 2 days later Miss Grundy quits her job and leaves town. So yeah, all that comes out. Everything just kind of comes out, and when Chuck starts talking about Betty and the way she's been acting, he just turns to Jughead, and Jughead just decks him, and a fight breaks out, and FP throws Chuck out of the house, and then calls the party off, and Jughead's getting ready to bolt, but FP actually does something rather fatherly. And let me mention, if you look at the makeup they do in Skeet Ulrich in this, it's quite clear that, yeah, ever since he's gone back to work for Fred, yeah, he's been sober. His eyes aren't bloodshot, there's no rosacea, so he's actually been sober this whole time. So he actually acts, kind of fatherly to it and says, listen, go back, she's giving you something, you and her and your friends are giving you something that we couldn't give you. Don't run. Because she needs you right now. So, yeah, Betty and Jughead go off to Pops, and, they kind of work things out. So there's still a thing, whoop-de-goddamn-do for you shippers out there. Again, shipping is a plague. And finally, to cap things off, Veronica talks to Smithers, the doorman at her apartment building. And if you don't know, in the comics, Smithers is actually the Lodge family butler, and both of them, in both incarnations, are fiercely loyal to the Lodge family, but not blind. Veronica asks Smithers, is her father a good man? And he's like, I really couldn't say. But when she asks him about her mom, he says, unequivocally, your mother is good. And so that's pretty much to protect her mom and keep her from being dragged down. Veronica decides to testify on her father's behalf, so she goes and gives the deposition and all that. Then, after that, she goes and she talks to Betty and says, you know what, I want to find out what's going on. I want to help with your investigation. So now we've got Jughead, Betty, and Veronica on board to find out what's going on. Alice, Betty's mom, is now officially the advisor to the Blue and Gold, so she's back. So that's how she's working on everything. And during the party, she happens to be up in Betty's room, which is, of course, directly across from Archie's room, which is where Joaquin and FP are. and she sees them talking, and she looks out the window and sees them, and, you know, with binoculars, because of course she's got fucking binoculars. And then later, after the party breaks up, she confronts FP, and FP lets something slip that's also rather interesting. She says, you know, you may not live on the South Side, you may not dress like you're on the South Side, but snakes don't shed their skin that easily. So Alice was a South Side serpent, most likely. And she kind of alludes to this, not directly, when Betty's asking, because it's like because she says she trusts Jughead, and Betty's trying to figure out whether she should tell Jughead about her moments now that Chuck's back, and her mom doesn't really, you know, say what's going on. Neither of them really say what their big secrets are, but Betty's mom advises her to not tell Jughead everything. You should trust him, but not with everything, because she trusted a bunch of stuff to Hal, and he used it all against her, and blah, 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 blah. So, so Veronica's on board with the investigation. Alice used to be a Southside serpent. And then the big closing bombshell, during the party, Archie drunk dials his dad. And, you know, he tries to make up with Val, and Val just doesn't want anything to do with him, and she throws her drink in his face when he won't leave her alone, as well she should. And, you know, apparently he told his dad that he didn't want him to sign the divorce papers and all that. So the next day, when Archie's cleaning everything up, his dad comes home, and it turns out his mom is with him. So is Mom back? What's going on? Who knows? But it's some great casting with Luke Perry as his dad and Molly Ringwald as Archie's mom, Mary. I love it. It's great. It's so nice to see Molly Ringwald getting work despite being saddled with being associated with the Gem and the Holograms movie. Now this is really the most teen drama of all the episodes so far, so not a lot really happens aside from, you know, Archie having a crisis, aside from just kind of dealing with fallout from everything that's been happening so far. And of course, everybody being aware of everything else. It kind of feels like a recap episode, which is probably the case since, like I've said before, there's only 3 episodes left in the season over the next 3 weeks, and supposedly, yeah, they plan on revealing who killed Jason by the end of this season. So I'm hoping to God they actually, you know, this is the one thing that's ticking me off, because this is, for a series that's supposedly revolving around this big mystery, we're getting a lot of threads, but nothing has fucking connected yet. Right now, our best suspect is Hiram Lodge. So, who knows? I'm pretty sure we'll probably get a lot of revelations over the next couple of episodes as it leads up to who actually killed Jason. So hopefully we'll get more here soon. A couple of interesting things. Well, one interesting thing. Early in the episode when Archie tells Betty that it's Jughead's birthday coming up, she's just like, she wants to do something, and tells her about going to the movie theater and all that, and how he's been going with him for the last couple of years, but it's most likely Betty's going to go, and Betty insists on going with, on Archie going with. He's like, no, I don't want to be a third wheel. It's like, oh, come on, it'll be like old times. Said, yeah, the 3 Musketeers. And Betty says, actually, Archie, there were 4 Musketeers. And I don't think she's referring to the actual novel. Was there a 4th person they used to run around with? Was it Polly? Was it someone else? What the hell is Betty referring to there? Will it actually get resolved? Because there's been a lot of stuff, like a lot of shows in their first season, they set some things up that just tend to get discarded because they don't work anymore. Remember how Betty was supposedly on Adderall? Yeah, that only showed up in the first episode, and it hasn't been a thing since. So, yeah. I have not watched the trailer for the next episode yet. I really should have before I started recording. So, again, really kind of teen drama, but a few interesting things here and there. And like I say, I'm sincerely hoping that the show actually starts making a more concentrated effort to tie everything together, because really, if it doesn't start doing it now, no matter who it turns out to be have killed Jason, it's probably going to be some half-assed thing, which if you look at it and think about it logically, you realize that doesn't work. So I'm hoping that here in the next couple of episodes, things will actually start getting more and more concrete. And we can actually start theorizing. That's what's really been ticking me off through this whole thing. Because if you're going to revolve your entire main story arc around a mystery, you might want to, you know, throw in some significant stuff at some point. Because like I said, we've got threads upon threads upon threads. Sure, it could be Cheryl, it could have been the Blossoms, it could have been Polly, it could have been the Coopers, it could have been anybody. We don't have anything solid. And I still want to know why Reggie Mantle's name is on the Blue and Gold's murder board. I mean, I don't know if we're going to do anything with it, but I would really, really like to know. So yeah, not a lot of stuff moving forward on the murder mystery side of things, but hopefully here in the next 3 weeks, when all gets revealed, we'll start doing that, and I can actually start throwing out some actual theories. I'm sorry, I really was hoping that this show would go that route, but I guess that's too much to hope for from the friggin' CW. I still enjoy the show, but a couple of its things are starting to really, really grate on me. So we'll just have to see what happens now that Archie's mom is back in town and the testimony has been given and so on and so forth. So until next week, I'll see you next time with the next Riverdale vlog. Bye.